Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, the stunt men and women out there never quite get their due, and if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and conversational fashion. And let's be honest, if you like what we're doing, and I mean, I'm assuming you do, you're listening to the podcast right now, you can subscribe to the podcast. You can find us over at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, basically wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel, so if you can give us a like and subscribe there, we'd really appreciate it. Also, you can follow us on the social media, as it were. Check us out over at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at either at In the Seats or at It's Podcast One for all sorts of fun updates. And plus, we're on the TikTok, but that's mostly just for fun and time wasting, to be perfectly honest. But we're fun. We have fun with it too. Finally, though, and I say it a lot, but it's the most important thing. Please come pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, the moving image in general, festivals, anything we can think of, because we love to talk about it and write about it, and we love it when you come on by and read about it. So please stop on by. We're doing a little TV today because the Emmy Awards were announced, and I gotta, we're talking stunt people, because stunt people don't get enough credit. And I mean, I think one of the best shows out there that illustrates so many practical stunts is a show like Yellowstone, which is available on a variety of streaming platforms, and I'm not even sure on what channel it airs, but they've had 3 seasons now, starring Kevin Costner. It is a fantastic show, which I do recommend you check out. If you're in Canada, you can check it out, all 3 seasons, on Amazon Prime, but it's from the Oscar-nominated screenwriter Taylor Sheridan, and it stars Kevin Costner. And it's the story of the Dutton family, led by John Dutton, played by Costner, who controls the largest contiguous cattle ranch in the United States. And amid shifting alliances and unsolved murders and open wounds and hard-earned respect, the ranch is in constant conflict with those it borders. A town that's expanding, an Indian reservation, and America's first national park, and it's a fantastically well-written show with a lot of drama, and it's incredibly entertaining, and I cannot recommend it enough. But we had the unique pleasure of sitting down with stunt coordinator Jason Rodriguez to talk about, well, just sort of the art of doing stunts. And I mean, this is a show with a lot of horses, with people riding around on horses. You can't CGI that stuff. It's got to be practical. There's real danger, there's real challenges, but he seemed like a guy who was very up to the challenge, and everyone on this ensemble is very much up to the challenge, and you can tell in the work. But I hope you enjoy our talk with Jason, because I think it's a good one. And like I said, when it comes to stunt performers, they never quite really get the due that they deserve, and I think this is a show that really highlights some of the great work that they do. So go check out Yellowstone on Amazon Prime, but first, enjoy our talk with stunt coordinator Jason Rodriguez. All right, well, first of all, Jason, obviously, thank you for the time today, man. I really appreciate this.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Now, I mean, I'm a big fan of the show, but I mean, I guess my first question is, and this is something I'm always kind of fascinated by. I'm not sure if this is a dumb question or not, but I'm always fascinated about sort of the art behind making sure the stunt fits the material. Because, I mean, obviously, Yellowstone is very rugged. There's a lot of stuff like that going on, but you can't sort of harken back to something that you did on Iron Man and go, oh, let's do that, because it's going to be completely different. Can you walk me through, I guess, sort of the art of making sure the stunt matches the material?
Sure. First of all, Taylor always writes very specific direction to his action in the scripts. So I start by kind of following that, and then I'll start to add a little bit of flavor to it, and then he'll have notes and add a little bit. But we try to keep it in a world that is believable to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
We try to keep it in a world that the fans will understand, the viewers will understand, and it doesn't seem like it's completely out of place. We vary, we stray from that a little bit, but we'd never get off track of what the real essence of Yellowstone, is. And most of it is just sticking with what Taylor's written and because he has obviously the tightest grasp of the situation. And so I just try to cater to what he's written on the page.
Now, how hands-on do you get to be with the actors sometimes? Because I mean, sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't tell. I'm always kind of curious, especially on a show like this. I'm always curious where the line is. Will some people want to push it, or will some people want to back away? Like, what's sort of the balance between sort of talking an actor into doing a stunt versus trying to talk them out of doing a stunt?
Yeah, I haven't had the occasion too much with this crew of like trying to talk. It's more talking them out of doing something than talking them into it. And when you deal with horses, what I've found most in my career, and I've done a lot of westerns and things, is actors are they're more likely to be okay with not doing something that you think's not safe when it involves an animal, because that brings on, like when they're in a car or something like that that they're familiar with, they feel like they can drive, they feel like they can do a lot of things. And so that's where you have to kind of go, okay, come on, man, I can't let you do that, let's just move on from there. But when it has to do with horses, and especially in this environment where not a lot of them are familiar with it, there's not a lot of, like, I don't have to do a lot of talking to. But the guys are so good, and Taylor and I collaborate so good in putting them in the space, that we kind of know going in, and they kind of know going in what they can and can't do, and then we just go from there. And the trick is really putting them in the scene. If we have to use a double or whatever, at least, but we put them in the moment, so the viewers feel that those guys are really doing it.
How does the animal factor sort of, I guess, maybe increase your job? Because I mean, that really didn't even occur to me. But you're right. I mean, these horses are beautiful, but I mean, in the wrong hands, or if they do something wrong, they can also do a lot of damage at the same time.
Sure, and that makes it to where I have to pay more attention, just strictly. For example, if I'm working on a regular show and it's scripted that a actor just drives a car up and stops, I don't necessarily have to pay that much attention. It's like everybody drives; it's not a big thing. But when it becomes a horse situation, and then you have to just pay more attention, and you have to really know how to read the animals. And we have great horses on that show, and great wranglers, and we're able to, if we see a problem maybe starting, we're able to get them switched onto a different horse, or switch a scene around to make it work better, that keeps them safe and stuff. So there's things you have to be able to read the animals, read the horses, and be able to adjust if you have to.
How does the job change for you from, say, one job where you're working as a stunt coordinator to something where maybe you're just coming in to be a player because you can do maybe a specific stunt?
Well, the stunt coordinator is just more. I have to choreograph everything. Usually, when you work as a stunt man, you just show up and it's already choreographed for you, and they just go, "You do this, go here, start here, go there, do whatever." So there's not a lot of pressure. You just have to perform. When you're a stunt coordinator, I think there's even a little more pressure, because you choreograph it, and everything in your mind will work the way you've choreographed it. But you have to rely on the performers or the actors or whatever they're doing to make it work. So that's mainly the difference. Is the stunt coordinator just has a little more on his shoulders, designing the stunts, and also making sure that the people that are performing them are the right people, and knowing when to draw the line between actors and stunt people, and making it all work.
Now, what got you into the stunt game? Like, I mean, every time I've ever interviewed a stunt man, there's always an interesting story behind what made them want to be a stunt player in the films.
Well, I moved down to LA to Hollywood to pursue an acting career, and I had some successes in commercials and things like that. But I came from a pretty famous rodeo family. A lot of the coordinators at the time were kind of the throwback cowboy coordinators that were still working, and a lot of them knew my family. So I got it started to interest me, and I started to work on shows like Briscoe County Junior, Dublin, Bruce Campbell. I got to go on Mask of Zorro, the Antonio Banderas Mask of Zorro years back, and I started really enjoying that. So pretty soon the acting kind of fell away, and I really just wanted to pursue being a stuntman because I just loved it so much. It was fun to me. It was exciting, and and I just something that I just really fell in love with.
Now, I'm curious, how has sort of the stunt business changed? Because I mean, you can sort of hear back in the old lore of Hollywood from like the 70s and maybe even the early 80s of some horror stories and some real Wild West things going on set. But I'm kind of curious from the 90s even to now, how has sort of the business of being a stunt performer changed?
I think the same thing where how most things have changed is just the technology. You know, technology and the equipment that we've developed. You know, to keep stunt performers can do more and stay safer. From wire work with high-speed winches and things like that, just to simple things like uh, being able to hide pads more effectively because we have high dense foam, and so you can make a whole floor out of high dense foam and paint it, and no one ever knows that it's padded. But it's just technology that's changed. This changed the game and allowed us to do bigger and better stunts. Honestly,
Has
not
there ever oh, go ahead.
those old time stunt guys though, they were really doing those things. But again, that's why most of them, walk around with hip replacements and bad backs and stuff like that.
Well, that kind of leads into my next question. Has there ever been a stunt you've been involved in where in hindsight you've gone, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that?
um, Not that I can think of. There are some. I can't. I don't think I can pick a specific one. There were some that I definitely, when I did it, just was like, oh, that was horrible, and I don't want to do that again. But I can't really think of a specific one. It kind of. I've been doing it for 30 years. It kind of runs in your mind and runs out of it. You kind of forget those moments as fast as you can, I think.
Is that sort of the key to longevity in that business, just to have a short memory to be able to forget sort of those occasional near misses?
Yep. Short-term memory. Short-term memory helps a lot, But also like when it's something, it's also like having a long-term memory where you're going, okay, I'm not going to do that again. And next time I have to do that particular stunt, I'm going to do it this way. I've learned from that. The short-term memory is generally if you do a stunt and it doesn't quite turn out the way you want it to, you have to forget it and move on and keep going on to the next one.
How has the stunt business kind of fed you creatively? Because I mean, like you said, you came to Hollywood to start an acting career, but you kind of got caught up in the stunt thing and you really enjoyed it. And I'm kind of curious, all
Well,
these later,
at
how has it sort of fed you and kept you going creatively?
yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, we're still performers, whether
Yeah.
I'm doubling somebody or whatever. When you're doubling somebody, you have to like, mimic their movements and make it look, make the audience feel like it's really them. But also when I'm performing, you have to sell hits. You have to act also. We're just because you're just doing stunts is, you're really acting the
Oh,
part
for
because
sure. Yeah.
they have to believe that you're that guy. Creatively, when I've started coordinating for the last 15 or so years, I've that's what's really fed my creativity because then you're collaborating with directors, you're collaborating with actors, and you're not only designing the stunts, but you're designing it in a way that's going to tell the story the best and allow the actors' characters to come through. And it's really that's where the real creativity in the stunt world is. I think is the relationship between the coordinator and the director and writers.
How has sort of I guess, the level of recognition for stunt performers changed over the years? Because I mean, I know there are some award shows and there are some groups that want like more stunt performers to get more recognition in terms of sort of the work that they do. And I'm kind of curious, from when you started to now, how has sort of the external recognition of the stunt art form changed?
Yeah, I think um, I think stunt I think stunt performers get a lot more recognition than the old days. In the old days, it was kind of like the old timers used to look at it more as like it was we're behind the scenes, and we kind of take a back seat because it's really we're just trying to make the movie work better. We're just trying to you know uh, push the story forward and double the guys, and we don't want the actors to ever overshadow the actors and things like that. And now it's starting to come more to the forefront of you have the Tour Stunt Awards where we recognize people, and of course the Emmys of recognize stunt people, and I think it's becoming more realized that it's a specialty and an art form in itself, and deserves some recognition.
At the end of the day, is there a preference for you to work on a show maybe with something like Yellowstone where things are more hands-on, things are more real versus say maybe a Marvel movie where it's like green screens and guide wires, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I always like the shows that are a little more, I cut my teeth. The first jobs that I coordinated were, I had a friend that got a contract with the Sci-Fi Channel because he did a lot of comic book stuff, and he did 5 or 6 like $1 million sci-fi movies for
Right.
the Sci-Fi, and that's where I cut my teeth. And that was when you don't have much money, you have to get really creative. So that's where I kind of cut my teeth. And so I really like the hands-on. We're gonna do it for real. We're gonna figure out how to make this work in a real situation with no green screen and no wire work. We're just gonna go out and do it. So that's kind of my area that I like to stay in. I like to do real practical stunts, and that's why I love Yellowstone. It's not only a genre that I'm very familiar with growing up on a ranch myself and things, but it's also really like down and dirty stunt work, and I really like it.
Now, I mean, just to put a bow on this, at the end of the day, is there like a bucket list stunt or a bucket list idea that you wanted to try to pull off on screen that you haven't had a chance to yet?
Oh, shoot. Kind of put me on the spot, and I can't really think of one right now. I've done a lot, and I've seen a lot of them done. If there is, I'm sure Taylor will write it sooner or later, and I'll get to do it.
Well, fingers crossed that he does, man. And you know what? Congratulations on your work on the show, and thanks for the time today, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, David.
All right.
Thanks.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.